Tonight I'd like to welcome Dublin High School Assistant Principal Bill Branca and his team from the Engineering and Design Academy at Dublin High School. I'd like to recognize Mr. Branca especially for his leadership in this effort. His enthusiasm, his commitment to making this a reality has truly been tremendous. He's flanked by two outstanding teachers who have also embraced the engineering program and all that goes with it, and that's Ms. Eugene Chow and Mr. Tom Calvert. This team can speak firsthand to how their students are making real-world connections and gaining truly valuable experiences in the Project Lead the Way curriculum, it's going to position students extremely well for post-secondary career choices and education programs. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Branca, and again, I would like to thank our sponsors, our partners, Chevron, Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, Simpson Strong Tie, Dublin Partners Education, and the Shainthal Foundation, who've really contributed close to $80-some thousand this past year. It's really been tremendous. Mr. Branca.
Thank you, President Cunningham, Board, Dr. Hankey, and the Cabinet. I'm happy to share with you an update on the Engineering and Design Academy. We're trying out the acronym DATA right now, DEDA, and seeing how that goes. But before I start, I want to also thank some people. One of the handouts, or the handouts that you have right here, the first handout, the bigger one right here, this talks about Project Lead the Way, their whole program. It has the engineering program, the high school engineering program, but also the biomed program. We're looking at that right now. We don't have that in place. The smaller pamphlet is just their engineering high school program. It lists all the courses that they have for curriculum for. And then this one is just one that we did ourselves as marketing for our students in class selection. So this is this also has our partners across the bottom here. Some of the other partners that we have that beyond what Bryce is, with Dublin Partners of Education, Tri-Valley Educational Collaborative, and their educational partners, San Jose State, Cal State East Bay, Chabot College, and Las Positas College. With all the efforts of all those partners, this would not be possible. And with that said, I'd also like to thank Bryce and Dr. Hankey for kind of facilitating many of those partnerships. They really kind of got those partnerships started. And with that, getting the course is going and getting the room set up, all those things, everyone from facilities, technology, business, they really helped in getting that program off the ground, because we started with like a bare room and we put a computer lab in there and all the engineering space in there is with the tables. And the classroom area. So, and you're welcome to come by anytime to take a look at that. They do a lot of exciting things during third and sixth period. Dublin High School had been looking at a program for quite a while, and actually Dr. Hankey took several of us to a program up at Sacramento, which was the Achievement Gap Summit. And that's where I first learned about Project Lead the Way. And it took a couple years to get going, but we kind of met the right time. We're really starting to look for a STEM program. And this is kind of when we go back, this is kind of what we were looking for, was a STEM program with a proven curriculum, something that we didn't have to start from scratch. That's rigorous, motivating, that it provides teacher training, updated curriculum with their educational partners as well. They're all across the nation. Then going on to that, what they call their classroom is the innovation zone. And I'm going to go through this really quickly because you really want to hear from the teachers and the students. But one of the slides that's always stood out to me, I've seen it several times when even William Daggett spoke about it, is this framework where it talks about the PLTW courses. We're in that C area of the high rigor, low context. That's probably where many of our courses are, because that's where we're going for the California Standards Test. We're trying to get them really rocking and rolling to meet those standards. But Project Lead the Way takes it that next step and provides that relevance or that context for their coursework. And when they go through this is what Project Lead the Way has kind of found. They found that students are performing better on this California Standards Test, on the other state standards tests, on the national standards test, when they've gone through these curriculums. And kind of what we're seeing, both from Project Lead the Way standpoint, but also what we're seeing also in the classroom, is we have some great technology in there, and that's what that money is all gone for. All that money that's come in from our partners has gone to provide for that classroom and the program. The collaboration, there's a lot of teamwork that happens in the classroom. The problem solving, they're working on real life problems, and a lot of times that answer isn't readily available, so they got to fix that problem. The relevant subject matter, our teachers are really excited to be there all the time. We're anxious to kind of get the next courses going, and they'll talk a little bit about that. College credits possible with testing. One of the teachers, both teachers can talk a little bit more about this, but the professional development, what they do, they can go to several areas where we have training programs. San Jose State is going to start training program this summer, but before they went to Cal Poly Pomona, and they participated in a 2-week course. It was basically 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. They gave them the weekend off a little bit, but they had homework. And they went through the whole curriculum for the whole year for Principles of Engineering during that 2-week time. And it really prepares them to go into the classroom. They're both engineers through their education, so a lot of this stuff is not new to them, but it really gives them the foundation to go in there and teach the course. And this is in your pamphlets as well, but the Pathway to Engineering, these are the 3 kind of introductory courses. The first 2 are the ones, well, Principles of Engineering is what we have right now. Introduction to Engineering is what we're putting in next year. There's a hope that we could add digital electronics the following year. We want to add a course each year. And then after that, pick one of these courses in that 4th year. And we'll probably do that by surveying students and seeing what they're interested in. And I'm going to have Mr. Calvert come up and talk about the Principles of Engineering piece.
I just want to let you briefly know, this program, about a year ago, really, was the first time I heard of it. And when a call went out to see if anybody was interested in doing this. I was very impressed at how quickly it did get off the ground. It was something that, as an engineer, it's nice to see. And, the kids don't often have an opportunity. I mean, I've been asked the question in the past, what is engineering? From some of my students. And it's nice to be able to point them towards a class like this. It gives them a real taste of several different areas that are encompassed by the engineering. Bill was rather generous in stating that the classes were easy because we'd seen it all. That's not quite true. I'm an electrical engineer by training, so when we deal with trusses and such like, I'm really kind of just as lost as my students were. But in any case, we have 2 sections going this year. We have about 50 students. I think that I have Alex is here, and he'll talk about the students' perspective here fairly quickly. But I just would like to say that I thought that it was very well done. And it's nice to have a curriculum that's in place that is proven. I believe that Project Lead the Way has been around for about 12 or 13 years, has slowly migrated from New York State across the country. And I'm quite late, even though I won't be participating in the Introduction to Engineering Design course next year. I will be in the following year in the digital engineering one, and I'm really looking forward to getting that one introduced into the classroom. Okay. There we go. Here's an example of one of, okay, all right, there we go. All right. Here's an example of one of the things that the students were doing. They had to construct a truss out of wood and paper and glue. And then we have a machine that they put it in, and they were charged with determining how long before it broke. So this machine here actually presses down and will eventually break the truss. And it was just an interesting little machine that gives them an opportunity to learn a little bit about how trusses work, et cetera. And I think that they enjoyed that. And right before I go, I'll show you something else that the kids were involved with. One of the projects that they had to do was a comparison between solar and fuel cells, solar cells and fuel cells, as far as energy provision, how they work. And the kids very quickly discovered that solar cells are great for gathering energy from the sun, but you need a lot of them in order to really be effective. Whereas fuel cells, and we have actual fuel cells that they create and use, provide quite a bit more power, as you'll see here in this little car race. They built cars with fuel cells. And there's a little race that goes on right now. Will it work?
He's trying.
He's trying to get it?
There we go.
There we go. All right, you ready? That's me. All right, ready, set, go. Uh-oh. There's a piece of tape on the floor there. You can see. Aren't iPhones a wonderful device? Yeah. That's how I recorded that one. So in any case, I have enjoyed very much in teaching this course this year. It's been a challenge because there are some things that we've had to change, and many thanks to Eugene for a lot of that work. She's done a tremendous amount of work in this. But rather than me continuing to rattle on, I'd like to have one of my students, Alex Nolan, come up and give you his impressions of this particular course.
Good evening. I'm Alex Nolan. I'm a senior at Dublin High School. And just brief, when I found out about the program last year, I was really, really excited. I had taken C++ programming the year before, which is also part of this whole engineering academy. And I knew that I wanted to get into some kind of engineering at that point. I just didn't know what. I had an idea, but I wasn't sure. So really getting an opportunity to take a class like this where I was able to, get a feel for a bunch of different kinds of engineering was fantastic. I learned a lot about material science. We did some, alternative energy. We did trusses, so that gets kind of into civil. We've done a lot of really great stuff. We just did a project with bridges where we designed bridges on the computer, trying to reduce costs while making it still work to various constraints. And, we have a lot of great programs and other resources that we get to use in the class, which are really fantastic and I think are really effective. I definitely have learned a lot so far in the class, more than I expected. I thought, I like engineering. I kind of have an idea. I watch, like the Discovery Channel and everything like that. So, this should be easy. But, you go in there and you see all this stuff and you really get into depth about things. And it's really exciting. I've had a wonderful time in the class. And I think it's been really effective as a teaching tool, just based on the whole fact that it's very hands-on. There are a lot of classes where you take 3 days of notes and you maybe do a lab, and that's only if you're in science. So with the math, you get a project maybe every couple months. With this class, you take a day of notes and then 3 days of a project. And I think that's really effective in driving home the concepts that we learn. And it's a great teaching tool because I think that we tend to learn better when we actually apply things rather than just reading it out of a book and taking notes and taking a test. This class has been really great for me because I'm involved with a lot of stuff outside of school. I run varsity cross country and track. I'm also an Eagle Scout. And those activities take up a lot of my time outside of school. And what's great about this is that there's not a lot of work that comes home because we are able to do so much in class. And the way that we do it is very effective, so we learn really well, and there's no need to bring it home. And that's fantastic because I'm getting a lot of great, like the slide said earlier, high content, high rigor, but it's not coming home with me, and I'm learning a lot, and it's fantastic for me. So far, I think my favorite activity is when we worked with the bridges and the bridge design that we just got done working with. And that was really fantastic because we learned all of these concepts, and then it was a lot of trial and error. You build something, hope it works, and then it doesn't work, and you're like, okay, what do we do now? And then, there's the whole price concept comes in, where you have to get the price down while still making it great. And there's a lot of competition that goes on, and there's this motivation to really do well on the project, rather than just for the grade, but just to say, I did that. And it's really fantastic. I had a lot of fun with that. We got to do a lot of different stuff, like changing the deck level of the bridge, adding different cable ties, piers, stuff like that. I had a lot of fun with that. Close second, though, was working with the cars and everything. We applied a lot of the simple mechanics that we learned earlier in the year. We talked about, basic machines and stuff like that, simple machines. We applied that all to a car and then had to make it work. And it was a lot of fun because, you looked at something, it's like, this should work really well. It doesn't work well. You have to go back and fix it. And I don't know, I appreciate the challenge. I think it's a lot of, it's very entertaining, very educational. I think it's extremely effective for what we're trying to do. I look forward to seeing, just my sister's coming through, hopefully the program. She's a freshman this year. I want to see her get into this kind of stuff. I'd like to, look forward to seeing where the program goes in the next couple of years. I think it's a really fantastic thing that we have going here. And I'm appreciative of everybody that was involved in getting that going, and I really think it's fantastic. And I can't say enough about it, but thank you.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Eugene Chow. I'm the other teacher for the POE class. I'm going to just speak really briefly about the next course that we're bringing in next year, which is the Introduction to Engineering Design. The slide that's in front of you there, just some captures that give the essence of what the next curriculum will be about. It is the foundational course that comes prior to the Principles of Engineering. So it is a more basic level, and it focuses on the design process. So the students will still be working in a project-based course, but most of the modeling is done in AutoCAD. So they'll be presented with the problem statement, asked to come up with a solution, both hand draw and then translate their work into an AutoCAD system so that they could potentially take whatever they create, that product, and prototype it in a regular manufacturing system. And then coming back and redefining and evaluating their product, seeing if it's any good, and then making adjustments and modifications from that. So that will be the next course that we'll be introducing next year. I will be going to the training over the summer along with another teacher from the science department, Dave Yuken. So I'm going to actually hand it over to some of my robotics kids right now. They're going to come and talk to you about the robotics program this year. There we go. So if you come up, yeah, I'll introduce them. This is just a small segment of our Gale Force robotics team. This is Kimberly Zong. Elizabeth Childs is right here, Josh Price, and Vijay Mittal, and they've, set up a little speech and demonstration for you.
So first off, I'd like to thank everyone here, especially Ms. Chow and Mr. Branca, because they've been actively supporting us all this time. We're representatives of Dublin High Robotics. Go Gales. We have about 12 members in our club. And we have 3 teams participating in 2 different leagues. One's FTC, which is my league, and they're all in VEX, which is another different robotics competition. Our matches are tournament style, and each match is like 2 alliances against each other, so it's teamwork, but they're still opposite teams. And then each alliance has 2 teams in it. Alliances score by placing objects into scoring areas, such as this baton. We put it into like a little cup thing or a goal. Oh, and this is like a ring. You put it on a post. Each match has a short autonomous period with no user control, so we can't touch robots. We can't control them. And then there's like a 2 minutes of control where you have a remote control. And teams with the most points win.
And this is not fully functional right now because we kind of tore it apart and put it together and tore it apart and put it together last second, so yeah.
So this is our robot, 5327B. We're in the VEX competitions. His name is Walter. We give our robots names. Oh, well, he's evolved. We've been to 3 competitions. Chevron gave us our kits a while ago, November, I think. So we came to my house and we opened the kits and we sorted it all out and we tried to start building a robot with no experience at all. I mean, and it was quite tough. He was made of some metal pieces all tied together by rubber bands pretty much, and he didn't really do anything. So Liz took him home, and her dad is an engineer, and he said that won't work at all. So he showed us some tips, and we decided to rebuild it because we had to. And we named our second one Krabs because he looked just like Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. He had his base like that, but instead of one pier going up, he had two. So those looked like eyes to us. And we went to our first competition in Vanden, what is that? At Fairfield. And we didn't have any expectations. We'd never been to a robotics competition, and we just went to have a good time and fun, and we actually did really good. We were alliance captains in the quarterfinals. That means we get to choose our team that we want to play, that want to ally with us. And we didn't go to semifinals, but we won the Energy Award for being the most energetic and fun team. And that was exciting. So, yeah, we had lots of fun there. Our second competition was at Bellarmine in San Jose, which is a big school. And there were 52 teams that went. And we changed our robot. He looked very similar to that. He didn't have a name then, but we got 10th out of 52, which is really good. This is our first year, so we got really excited over that.
Wonderful.
And then our latest competition was in Walnut Creek at Northgate High, and we didn't do as good there, but we still had a great time, and it was a great way to end the VEX season for us. We are going to do other competitions. An upcoming one is at the San Jose Tech Museum. There's a tech challenge, and it's not really robotics. Well, it is robotics, but we have to build something to take trash out of a model of the North Pacific Gyre, which is in the Pacific Ocean. It's a big floating island of trash. So that's going to be our next competition. We really look forward to that. And another competition that's coming up is Robo Games, which is a big, just combination of different types of robotics. You can make humanoids, you can make things like this. Some robots fight, some robots bowl. There's a whole bunch of things that the robots can do, and some of our members will be participating in that. They're really looking forward to that. And now, Liz.
Well, yeah, our first design, I guess it was pretty much latex tubing, rubber bands, zip ties. We pretty much had no concept of using a nut and a bolt. We just kind of tied things together, and to our surprise, it actually would move with wheels. So that was pretty cool. Another thing that's going on is on the same day as the Robo Games, a few of our members have volunteered to work a clinic at the CSF conference at Dublin High, and they're going to be teaching some people what it is to be in robotics, some concepts of what we do and certain things. One of the things that we've learned is that, well, you can't put a robot together with latex tubing, that you need to have a design or a concept before you actually go into it. Otherwise, you just kind of end up with some little weird cloth thing. So you need to sit down and think about it, which was a really good thing for us to learn. And we really did go into this whole season with no expectations. Ms. Chow even at one point said that she didn't even know if we were going to compete this year or not. We were just kind of going to get our toes wet, see what it was. And we actually ended up going in and doing really well. All three of our teams, for our first year, I believe we did an outstanding job. We partnered with a lot of other a few other schools, and like Northgate High School, we helped them put on their competition. We worked with them finding teams, getting their exposure out there. And we pretty much, one of the best experiences that we've had as a team was a huge bonding thing was at the Bellarmine Bay Area tournament. Our other VEX team for VEX 2, they, at our rematch, decided we're going to help boost you guys into the quarterfinal rounds. We are going to lose this match, but they made it really close, and that bumped us up quite a few places, actually. And it helped us a lot, and we were able to move on to the next elimination bracket, and that was a really cool, unifying thing for us there. We realized, hey, we're not two Dublins competing against each other. We are one Dublin competing for one school. So that was a really cool thing. And yeah, we really want to thank Chevron, because without them, none of this would be possible at all. And Mr. Branca for everything that he's been doing, and Ms. Chow. Thank you.
Whoops, okay, here we go. Just real quick, so we can kind of move on, I wanted to just give you the next steps and kind of, just so you see what's going on. Through our Tri-Valley Ed Collaborative, we look at a lot of our pathways, and the engineering obviously is one of our academies, our pathways. You've seen these charts before. What we try to do is articulate from the high school up through the community college to the universities, and so we actually paint the picture for the kids so that they see where they can go with these. The other piece that we're working on now is we're working backwards. We're going down to the middle school. And so this chart's going to grow. We're going to see middle school up above. And in the middle school, for example, next week, Tom Calvert's going to be working with Jim Redding at a particular workshop to actually articulate from the construction trades course, which Mr. Redding has already implemented some CAD software and some bridge building sorts of experiences for the kids at Wells Middle School, to try to build those feeder programs up through the high school. And we'll be doing the same thing with Fallon. We're looking at the Gateway to Technology program at Wells and Fallon for hopefully the fall of 2011, and have been working with the principals and some of the teachers there to identify how they'd like to implement this program. This is a much different sort of program at the middle school level, very introductory, more shorter units, shorter experiences. Some of that will be implemented as an after-school club initially. So we're looking at those kinds of models, and I'll be back again in a couple of months to talk to you about what we're looking at for that as we continue our work there. The Advisory Council, I just wanted to say a couple of quick words on this. We've worked with a lot of our partners. Some of you are on our Advisory Council. Thank you, Mr. Kenny. And I had our first advisory meeting. It was about 2 weeks ago, I believe. And the Advisory Council is actually going to be looking at how they can support the program through the ACE mentorship program is one piece we want to bring on board. That program actually finds business mentors to work with our students to develop projects and to continue and work in the areas of various competitions. Also guest speakers. We've already had guest speakers from DPI has actually been organizing our guest speakers from Chevron and several other agencies. So the kids have had a lot of great opportunities in the classroom with those speakers.